Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I have a very exciting video today because it is my first comparison video sort of, and I look cute, don't I? She tried. Excited about this video because I will be comparing these two makeup palettes to each other because I think everybody knows this palette by now, but if you don't, I will open it up. And a big thank you to Nina for letting me borrow hers because I can't afford this myself, so thanks for this. But this is the Huda Beauty Nude palette and it looks like this. And this is the Focallure Sunrise Impressionism 16 pan eyeshadow palette and it looks like this. So up together they look quite similar. Yeah, I'm just going to be using one palette on each eye and seeing if they really look similar. Also, just a quick mention, it is raining pretty heavily outside, so if you hear thunder or wind, it's coming from the window right there. So I took the liberty of priming my eyelids off camera as per usual, and I'll just be diving right into the palettes. So this is actually my first time using anything from this brand, Focallure. And I did some research and they are a China brand, and I think a lot of Malaysians actually have this specific palette, and it's actually, I've never used this, so I'm quite excited to see what it's all about. So from first glance, I'm looking at it on the table. From first glance, they do look pretty similar and they do have a lot of matching shades, such as Punch Pink. This one right here in the Focallure palette looks very similar to the shade Spanked, very kinky, Spanked here in the Nude palette from Huda Beauty. So that's one that I'm gonna try, and also both of them have concealers. So this is the Huda Beauty concealer in the palette, and this is the one in the Focallure palette right here, and it's covered with plastic so it doesn't get dusty. So I think first I will be taking the shade Tickle from the Huda Beauty palette and the shade Tenderly Light, and it looks like this. This is Tickle and this is Tenderly Light in the Focallure palette. So on my left eye I will be using the Focallure palette, and on the right eye I will be using the Huda Beauty palette, just to avoid confusion. So I'm first dipping into the Focallure palette, and first impressions, very pigmented, quite powdery, very powdery actually, and I'm just going to be stamping that on the outer corner of my left eye. So just to let y'all know, I am gonna be doing a half cut crease so you guys aren't shook when it happens later. This is a really pretty shade. It's like a sort of pinky plummy shade. Very pretty actually. So I'm just gonna leave it there for now, and then I'm going into the Huda Beauty palette with the shade Tickle, which is the most similar shade to Tenderly Light. This one looks a little lighter actually. You know what, they actually look quite similar. And I'm using different but similar brushes for each shade in the two palettes. So I have it's like a more just comparison. Yeah, the shades look very similar to me in real life. I don't know if the camera is picking up anything different. The Huda Beauty one, I've realized that I am picking it back up quite a lot more than the Focallure one, which is surprising to me, but it is blending like butter. Very nice. So now that those two shades are blended in as my first transition, I will be moving on to the shade Punch Pink from the Focallure palette, this one right here. And from the Huda Beauty Nude palette, I will be going in with the shade Spanked right here to deepen up the crease. And I will be using, again, different brushes. So I've never actually used the Huda Beauty either. I've used it once or twice, but never like properly, like, you know, really looking at it, really seeing if it works well. I have to say, man, the shades blend effortlessly. They're so beautiful. I wouldn't say this is a beginner's palette because it is quite pricey, but it's easy for beginners to use because it just blends that easily. But you know what, when I began using makeup, I used the shittiest palette. I think I started with like a Daiso brand makeup, and if you guys don't know what Daiso is, it's a sort of like a Dollar Tree. Everything's like 5 ringgit, but with the conversion rate, it does translate to about $1. And I used those makeup palettes and they sucked. So if you're a beginner and you're using like expensive makeup like Huda Beauty or Juvia's Place or anything from Sephora and you're a beginner, you're like one of the lucky ones. So for the Focallure side, so the side that I'm currently doing, the shade Punch Pink, in comparison to its like twin, I guess, in the Huda Beauty palette, it's more reddish, more on the reddy side than it is on the purple side, because in the pan it does look a little purple, but it's coming off a little more pinky reddish. And on the Huda Beauty side, it came off a little more plummy, but again, they both look beautiful. They are coming off a little bit different, but I don't really mind it. So off camera, I'm going to quickly cut my crease and then I will be right back to put in the shimmer. So I've cut my crease and I will be moving on to the kind of lid portion of this look. And I will be taking Pinwheel Galaxy from the Focallure palette, which is right here. And I will be taking the shade Daydream from the Huda Beauty palette right here. So I'll be trying this on a brush first. If that doesn't work, I will be using my fingers. There's a lot of fallout on this one. I think it's because I'm using a brush. Let me just do the first coating, the brush, and then I'll go in with my finger. So if you are using a brush for this specific shade or these like sort of, I don't know what shades these like shimmer shades, I think you need to go in twice, but with your finger, so much better. Look at that. I don't know if you can see anything, but that is gorgeous. Right off the bat, the Focallure one is more glittery and this is more shimmery. And this one looks more champagne-y. This one is like a true pink. I'm just gonna go in with my finger and reinforce the wow. That's beautiful. Both shades in the pan look identical. They really do look identical. But on the lid itself, this one looks a little pinkier and this one is a little more champagne-y. So last but not least, for the lid, I will be going into the shade Punch Pink from the Focallure palette and the shade Spanked from the Huda Beauty palette. So now I will go off camera to do my liner and apply my lashes, and then I'll be back to do the bottom lash line. So I'm back and I finally put on the lashes and the liner, and now I'm gonna be doing my bottom lash line. Woo. And for that, I think I will be using the shade Latte Please from the Focallure palette and the shade Tease from the Huda Beauty Nude palette. These shades, again, very, very, very similar, especially on the eye. So I didn't add any shade to this brush. It's just like an empty brush, like whatever's left on the brush is is what I'm using to just kind of diffuse those two shades. So I'm done with the eyes, and I think they came out very extremely similar. If not, they're just identical. So now I'll be finishing up the look with a lipstick, and this is by Essence. I think it's called Essence Beauty, and it's a drugstore brand. And this is the shade 08, I guess. It's like a pinky nude lipstick. Very cute. And I just wanted to pair it with, you know, these eyes, so. So it looks a little flat to me, so I think I'm just gonna add a little bit of glitter. And I think I'll just be topping it off with this shade right here, this Pinwheel Galaxy. And I'm just going to be putting that on the center part of my top and bottom lip.
Pacing back and forth. Oh, I don't understand why you're standing right here. All your shots have scored.
So my verdict. So I don't think this is okay. It's probably meant to be a dupe for the Huda Beauty palette, because as you can see from my eyes, they do look exactly the same, or the shades that I chose were exactly the same. I do think this is very worth the price because it is very, very easy to blend. However, if you don't have that kind of money, if you're balling on a budget, there is no harm in getting this palette right here, because the blend is, it's not as great as this one, but it is still there. It is still a really pretty palette. It is not as pigmented as this one, but it is worth your money to get this one if you can't afford this one. So I still think both of these palettes are really pretty. Again, this is just my opinions. I do think that you should get both of these palettes if you want to. If you only want to get one and you're balling on a budget, this one is more worth it. It is very similar to the Huda Beauty Nude palette, so go get it. Anyways, if you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe. I have 65 subscribers now. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you next Thursday. Bye guys!